All right, I'm done answering emails. I've replied to at least what feels like 15 people on 15 different things. But I wanted to get this video out for a couple days because I didn't want to start taking this until I actually got some baseline down on paper, but in this case, video. I'm gonna start taking antidepressants. This is a big thing for me, and I know I have a lot of friends, I believe some family members that take it, and Jen came up with a really good idea before I said yes to this, and that I kind of create a basic level, since this is the first behavioral modification medication that I've ever taken. Create a baseline so that I can look at it when I'm feeling different and see whether or not it's actually helping. So why am I taking this? Why am I electing to take this? It really kind of came about when I became acutely aware of when I was getting social anxiety, very strong social anxiety. And that started happening after after going to therapy for the first time. If you don't know, I went to therapy for 2 years. And I actually kind of chronicled my journey in a series I called Out With It. The early videos were very much me trying to explore the things that Dr. Salm and I discovered at our sessions, and they were all really enlightening and entertaining. I was about to say entertaining. They were entertaining. He was really great. He was a really great life coach and therapist, and a huge turning point for me. But something I would say in those videos is that whenever I would finally get something, whether it's anxiety, whether it's my self-worth, I became really aware of when those things were happening. Like if I would self-deprecate, like I would know that I'm doing it. Rather than like feeling bad, I know I'm like intentionally self-deprecating. Or if I was having anxiety, if anything, with the anxiety just got worse because being aware that you're in a situation where normally the anxiety would just sort of ramp up and you just feel weird, like you shouldn't be here, this is too clustered, this is really odd, got up to like 10 times worse after I knew that I was entering an episode. Good example of such is Comic-Con. And I love going to Comic-Con. Ever since Jen took me to Comic-Con, for her original reasoning was to go see to wait outside for Hall H and to go see the trailer for Catching Fire, which is part of the Hunger Games series. It turned into this big thing for us. It's Jen's favorite conference. And for me, I always felt like there were situations where I would just get extremely anxious, and anxious to the point where I would just, my brain would just freeze. It would just break. And these were the situations where you'd be in like the expo hall and, you have all of these people. It's a Saturday, it's the busiest day, or even the Sunday where it's not even the busiest day, where you just go around to, you had a mission. For what it's worth, Jen is extremely targeted. She's extremely focused when she knows what she needs to do. And I would just kind of I would follow her around. And I'm a very environmental sort of person, meaning that like I can't really be focused. Like if something were to happen out there right now, you would see me turn. I would turn to look at what was happening because I can't shut out the world around me. And this is like no matter what. It's very hard for me to stay focused. If I need to be hyper focused on something, something will always be able to pull me out of it. So imagine putting me in this situation where I'm at Comic-Con and you're trying to follow Jen around, but you're bumping into people, or if I happen to bump into somebody relatively hard, all of a sudden I get this instant feeling of feeling bad, and I'll want to like apologize, but Jen's going that way, so I should be following her, but I still feel bad, and I'm still trying to get past people, and I'm looking at people's faces, and some people may be giving me looks because I just happen to be catching gazes, and then I start like catastrophizing everything that's happening at that point, and everything explodes. I actually didn't go to Comic-Con last year because I realized that like I wasn't having fun anymore. I wasn't enjoying the conference. But it's like, all of the waiting in line, all of the, especially the Hall H line was upward of 24 hours, up to 36 hours waiting in line to get in there. With all of that, that's all I could focus on. So I was like to Jen, like, let me take a year off, and, maybe we'll see how I feel. Maybe if I stay home, I'll feel left out. Or get to a point where, okay, I can't miss it, so I have to go. Fast forward to a year later, and I actually started going back to the doctor again. My mom, I can just hear her clapping in the background, being so happy for her son. I actually signed up for a service called Forward, and if you haven't heard of Forward before, they are sort of a different way of doing health care is what they say it is. They're very technology based. Your second visit is a genetics visit. Like they'll give you a free 23andMe kit so they can do a genetics based visit. There are a lot of things that I've learned in the couple of visits that I went there. It's a monthly cost, but it's also unlimited visits. So you can go as many times as you want, as long as you're able to get to an appointment. And one of the coolest things about Forward for me is the fact that they can, you actually have access to your doctor or a care team who will forward your messages to your doctor. One of the problems I've had in the past, and I've become better at this, is not prejudging that my problems aren't good enough. And that's not something just for my health and my mental health, physical health. That's something that's one of my problems just across the board, is that I always think, my problems aren't enough to come out with them. And going to therapy was one of the big ones where it was like, I never talked about any of this stuff with anybody before because I never thought it was important enough. The same thing with my health and with Forward is I was post going to a doctor post therapy, whereas like going to a normal doctor where you only have 10 minutes. With Forward, it was different because I actually was able to start having a conversation with my doctor. And Dr. Brittany has been absolutely amazing. I've seen her a couple of times already. And at my last visit, she caught on to the fact that in our first visit, that I had said that I wasn't really stressed out. I didn't really have anxiety, but that's when all the house stuff started ramping up. So I started finding myself in more social situations as we were moving through the months, and as the baseline of stress just started going up with all of the house stuff. I had said something that didn't compute, and she was like, "Wait, we should talk about your anxiety." So I went in a couple of weeks ago. And we started talking about that. And, for the first time, I was really able to talk to a doctor about, what I've been telling you. Like, I'm in these situations where, I get anxious and I freeze up. And like, is there anything that can be done? Like, I know that I have family that are on antidepressants, but like, is that the right way to do this? I have gone through a lot of these problems that I've had, these ailments, mental ailments, through force of will, I guess. Which is so weird that I always thought that like going to medication would be like that's where you go if you have nothing else, nowhere else to go. And to be honest, it's like I feel like I'm at the point where I can only will myself out of it. There's only so much therapy can do at this point. So she said to me, she's like, let's look at getting you into some antidepressants, and I'm like, okay, we're doing this. All right. Obviously she recommended that I would, go visit a cognitive behavioral therapist, and I'm not really sure that Dr. Sam kind of applies to that, so I may have to look for somebody different. The purpose of this video, rather than be a background, is sort of, Jen provided me with a few questions. I can sort of keep myself honest when it comes to this, because, having never taken this before, it's going to be really weird. I don't know what to expect. I have to take a half tablet by mouth daily for 2 weeks, then increase to a tablet. And, it's sort of timely because I have the, I hope it seems timely. I don't know what's going to happen to me when I start taking this tomorrow. The Final Fantasy XIV media event is coming up. So that's a big social situation that I usually kind of get too anxious and to operate at. And then, we have a lot of stuff in June. Might come back to streaming, which is an eventuality. And then in July, Comic-Con. So like they say, it takes about 2 months for this to fully kick in. So yeah, back to the questions. Fears. 1, fears. I'll just name a couple for these, I guess. I fear being forgotten. I fear being left out. It's something that's been with me for a very long time. Being left out of the crowd. I fear failing my family. I fear not being able to work to my potential. I fear death. I fear death a lot. Second one on here is goals. I want to make all of this work. All of this stuff. I've invested a lot of time and mental thoughts and a lot of seemingly, thoughtful, as in full of thoughts, nights over like wanting all of this to succeed, and not coming into this expecting anything. Like having a goal of being able to have a suitable YouTube presence and regaining my love for live streaming on Twitch. Those are my short-term goals. My long-term goal is to be able to keep doing this for a long time, and one pillar of that's already established. The other is motivation and interest. My doubts, which is the next one on here, is that I can do it all. I posted on Twitter today that I'm looking for 1,000 subscribers. I'm working towards that, but posting that on Twitter, like I doubt that anybody would listen. I doubt myself. I doubt that I'm capable of doing it. I doubt that I will be able to have the last 5 months of this year, all of the changes that I've gone through mentally. I have a doubt that they'll hold up. My self-image. I feel like I've changed a lot. I've been within my own head a lot and been within this house a lot. With the summer coming, I'll start to be getting out more. I want to lose weight again. I know there are a lot of people out there, like I don't look it, but I'm closing on 200 pounds, which is kind of like the high bit where I've kind of maxed out in the past. I just don't happen to be as pudgy as before. When I hit that, like, when I was working in Silicon Valley, for instance, I feel like I'm a more confident version of myself. I'm like a targeted missile that's just, ready, that knows what he wants, that knows how he's going to do it, come what may. And that goes into the last bit of what I feel capable of accomplishing. I feel capable of accomplishing some sort of success on YouTube, actually. I feel like the ship has sailed on Twitch, and there are just a lot of things that I need to do to sort of figure that out, and to make that something that I really want to work towards again, because YouTube's the new shiny for me. I'm really enjoying making these videos. Honestly, like it takes a lot for me to like turn on the camera and start, and I have so many takes, and man, I take so much time editing, but it's a lot of fun, especially because I'm proud of what I have. I'm proud of this setup. You've seen it change throughout the videos, and when I have streamed the different streams, and like the sound and the picture quality and the lighting that I just keep playing with, and I can be creative again. I feel capable of being that sort of like final form of me. I have a lot of potential. Even though I'm 36, I have a lot of potential to do something, to be happy creating content, no matter what it is, because I am a multifaceted person. I Well, I guess those are my baselines. A bit all over the place, but I felt pretty confident about Jen giving me these sort of prompts. I'm coming into this blind, and I've done some research on it, but obviously your mileage may vary for whoever takes these. The drug facts and the medication guide and all that stuff I got from Walgreens, like all of this stuff is it's very vague. As it should be. So we'll see what happens. And hopefully that now that you guys know that I'm doing this, that if you feel up to it, I wouldn't mind a checkup every now and then to see if I'm okay. I need to be like doubly on my game to make sure that if I do suffer from any of the side effects, that like I know I'm suffering from the side effects, and contact my doctor about it and tell Jen and tell you guys, especially if I'm still doing this while I'm streaming, which I probably will be. So yeah, this is a to be continued. And until next time, I guess wish me luck. I hope that this is able to help me, along with continual, going back to a therapist and starting to get to the bottom of my social anxiety, which is probably tied into my self-worth. I mean, hopefully we can make something of it. But until then,